today I'm going to be making a peacock accent wreath. I am super excited about this because I've actually had this burlap for quite some time and I've just been waiting for the perfect accent ribbon. And I happened to stop into Costco the other day and I found this in the holiday section. They were just starting to put out and it was the perfect accent ribbon, sparkly, with just the right hint of peacock and really kind of subtle and beautiful. And so I wanted to make my wreath base today with what I have, and then I'm gonna go out and try to find some peacock accents to kind of make it a little bit extra. But today we're gonna make this burlap wreath. I'm gonna show you the technique again because I get asked a lot on my older videos about this technique of doing a burlap piece with an accent in the middle. And so I'll go over that again, but it's really quick and easy. If you did not catch the other videos, I will share that in this one. And if you've seen that technique, then some of this will be familiar. So I do use twine as my kind of main thing that gets everything connected to this wreath base. The wreath base that I'm using is a medium-sized wreath base that's 16 inches from Hobby Lobby. It's $2.99. And I normally get all of these on sale, but the 16-inch one really looks nice on door frames and things like that. So I usually tend to work with this size. I got this giant thing of ribbon from Costco for $6.99 and it's 50 yards, which is crazy long. So I'm gonna have tons left over. This was an awesome deal. And I also got a couple more things of ribbon because it was just such a good deal. So I'm looking forward to doing a number of projects with this. This is not the only project that I'll be able to get out of this ribbon, so you can see how nice and pretty and sparkly it is. So it's going to be interesting working with this giant roll, but I'm going to try to keep it on the roll and not tear it apart like I normally do, just because there's so much of it there. Then this burlap, I've had this for you years, I think. I've been saving it back for the right project. And this is from Walmart. I just happened to be walking through one day and I saw this color ribbon, which is one of my favorite colors. If you've been watching for a while, you probably know that. And it just kind of jumped out at me and I've been saving it for this. So I'm going to be doing this today as just kind of an all-season wreath. I just wanted something bright and fun. And also during the holidays, I do a peacock accent on some of my trees, so this could even be in that room during the holidays. But I'm gonna go ahead and get everything set up right now. This has a little piece of plastic on it, but I'll get that out later. And we will get started making the wreath. So first things first, if you didn't catch the other video, I need to cut a couple holes in the burlap, and I'm gonna start out with one roll of burlap, and I'm going to cut a hole in my accent as well. I'm just going to pick kind of an arbitrary point around one of these support pieces on my frame to start at. And if you did miss one of the other videos, I kind of call it 1, 2, 3, rows 1, rows 2, row 3, or A, B, C, or however you want to do that, the top row, the middle, the bottom. And so that's how I'm working through the rows. So I'm gonna start by getting one of these pieces of twine. I'm going to find my holes. It really doesn't matter what it looks like because it's going to be on the back of the wreath. And I'm going to go to this top row and I'm just going to put this around and tie it with a knot so that way it is secured to the base. And everything that's on the back will end up being covered up by your wreath in the front, so you really don't have to worry too much what it looks like. I'm just going to tie this in a knot so it's nice and secure. And then I will cut the accent. Then I'll cut the excess off. I'm gonna do the same thing for my accent piece here. And for this ribbon, there truly is a front and there's a back that has no pattern. So when I pull it through and I'm making what I call my loops, which is just like these pinches of material, I'm gonna wanna make sure that my top is the part that has the pattern. So I'll go ahead and just start it out to where it should hopefully be a little bit easier to get it started going that way. And I'm going to put the pattern to where it's facing to the quote-unquote top. I'm going to be flipping this over. I'm just going to tie this down, and again, it doesn't really matter what it looks like on the back because all of this will be covered up by our loops. I'll cut this excess off. And we have the start of our wreath. So to get started, and I've had a lot of questions on my older videos, like when I say loop, people are like, what do you mean loop? I don't understand. It literally is just me pinching this fabric and creating what I call a loop, which is just like a little fold in the fabric. You can see my finger can go all the way through, and I just pinch it, and then I push it up from behind and pull it through. And so I'm creating what I call a loop here on the wreath. And when you get started, it's gonna look pretty messy. Don't worry about that. It'll start looking less messy as you go on. So I'm gonna make my loop on the top rung, and you wanna have enough pulled through to where you can, you know, kind of fluff it out if you want it to be a little bit fuller. I do have plenty of this kind of turquoise color, so I can keep extending it, which I'll show as well. Then I'm gonna pull through my accent. Again, you want enough to where you're gonna be able to puff it up into a nice full loop later on. And then I'm gonna pull this same burlap, just pulling it from behind, and I'm going to pull it to make my bottom loop. And this burlap is a little bit stiffer than the burlap I normally work with, but just takes a little bit more to kind of shape it as you go. So then we're just gonna keep doing this top, middle, bottom, all the way around the wreath, and that's how your wreath comes together. And as it pushes against itself, it actually just holds itself in place. So you don't really need any glue unless you just wanted to put some in, and it really stays in place for a really long time. I have wreaths that I've had for literally years. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to this top rung. I'm gonna pull a loop through, so it means I'm just bunching this up. I can actually put my finger all the way through. I'm pinching that material, and then it comes out the back. So your roll here is always in the back part. And then I'm gonna go to the middle, that's where my accent is. I'm gonna bring this peacock material through, making sure that the top side is up, so you can see that really nice pattern. And wire ribbon is really, really easy to work with. I love how you can kind of bunch it and give it a shape. And so you can do all that afterwards. You don't have to really worry about fluffing everything out and giving it a shape now. And then you're gonna come through this bottom area. You're gonna pinch it. Make sure that it's a really nice loop and you have enough material. And we're gonna keep on going all the way around. So we're just gonna keep filling up all these sections with the loops, making sure we've got enough material all the way around. And then I'll show you how, obviously the peacock one, I'm not gonna have to transition for that because it's huge, but I'll show you how you transition when you run out of material with one of the burlap pieces. And I'm gonna pull this through the bottom, and then when you come to your support, you just wanna figure out how many more loops that you can fit in there comfortably. And I think I can maybe fit one more in the top here, and then I'll have to go to the next section. If you get a little piece like that, don't worry, you can just cut these off and they'll blend right in. So then when you go to a support, you're just gonna start with the next color you were supposed to have and push it down, and it'll all blend in as you go. Working with this bigger piece of ribbon is definitely interesting. And I'm just gonna keep going in the same pattern all the way down, making sure I have enough ribbon pulled out. We're gonna start in the top and make a loop and then press it down against itself so you can fit as much material in there. We're gonna go in the middle, and then we are gonna go in the bottom. We're just repeating that pattern all the way down, so that way it matches all the way down, and you're just gonna press. Try to fit in as many rows of the burlap as possible, makes it nice and full. One in the top, one in the middle, pulling all that material through there so you can get a nice big loop, and one in the bottom. And I absolutely love these colors together. I just think they're very, very pretty and very fun. I love this peacock accent. So I really want some nice big loops there in the middle. Maybe even bigger than I normally would make because I want to be able to see this accent. Okay, then after you go on the bottom, I'm just going to pull it down because I can fit another row in here. We're going to go to the top, nice big loop. We are going to pull some more of the ribbon out and then go to the middle. And we're going to pull it through and a nice big loop here down in the bottom. And if you get too much in there like that, you can easily correct it. Just pull it back down. Easily fixable. I'm going to be able to fit one more on the top here, I think. And then this is how this wreath is shaping up. So we're just going to keep repeating the process all the way around. And I'll show you how I transition as I start to run up the burlap. So as I start my next section, I'm starting in the middle. I'm going to make a big peacock loop here. So I've got plenty of material. I'm going to come through with my kind of turquoisey color here. Make sure I've got plenty of material. And go back to the top. Pull it through. Nice big loop there that my fingers can go all the way through. And then you're just bunching that material up and going all the way down. So a lot of times I'll pull my accent piece like this actually all the way off the roll, and it just makes it a little bit easier to work with, but because this one's so big, I'm trying to leave it on the roll. So I'm just having to roll it out a little bit so I kind of have some slack here, and that makes it a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to go back to the top, making sure I've got that pulled all the way through. Nice big peacock loop. Going to the middle. And then pinching it down. There's kind of you have to be careful, there's a little kind of pointy spot on the wreath there, so when you're pulling your hands down like that, you want to just watch out for those. And down at the bottom. So I'm going to be able to fit possibly one more round here. One through the top. Big loop here. We're going to do one through the bottom. Really nice and full. And one more of this turquoise. And then we are getting ready to run out. So I'm going to do the same method that I did when I ran out the other day. I'm just going to flip my wreath over. You can see what the back is looking like, and you actually start to end up with these kind of nice tight knots. I've got my new piece of turquoise burlap here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut holes in this old piece that's connected to the wreath. And at least 2, sometimes 3 spots. This is a really stiff burlap, so I'm only going to cut it in 2 spots. It'll hold. And I'm just using the twine to connect it together. And you just want those connections to be on the back of the wreath. And then just like with the other wreath, once you go a couple, rows past wherever that connection is, it just gets lost in the back. You really can't even see where it ends up being. So I'm just going to tie a little knot there. I'll cut my excess off so it doesn't stick out. And then that connects it, and it makes one longer piece of burlap. Now if you have a really, really long roll, you don't have to do this. This is just because these are the preset sizes. This is just because these are the preset sizes that I got at the store. And it takes more than one to get through the wreath. So this is what it looks like. We'll just make sure that that seam ends up on the back. and we are ready to keep going around the wreath. So we ended up down here at the bottom. I think we can fit one more burlap loop here through the top. Maybe. It's kind of stiff. And we just want to have, doesn't look like a very nice loop, does it? This happens sometimes with this stiffer burlap. It just is a little bit less friendly to work with, but you can kind of maneuver it around. So we'll make that the last loop in that section. Then we're gonna go to the middle and pull through our wire ribbon, which is generally pretty easy to work with. And then we're gonna come back through and make a loop on the bottom. And that is actually our first loop with our new burlap. So on the top, you are never even gonna be able to tell. As long as you get these burlaps that are made at the same time, so the color doesn't vary, you won't even be able to tell where that seam is. And then we just keep on going down. Now I have at least 3 or 4 of this turquoise, so most of the time you can get it done in 2 unless you make really big loops. Then sometimes you have to go and use 3. Or if you're using like a partial roll, you might need 3. But today, hopefully we will be able to do it in 2, we'll see. So I'm just gonna keep on going all the way down. I am only about halfway through at this point. That's what it's looking like so far. So I'm actually going to pull my turquoise through. We'll start on this next section. And we're just gonna keep on going. I cannot wait to make a big bow, really big bow, with this beautiful peacock material. I may have to go back and get another one of these materials for my tree that I have peacock ornaments for. I think that'd be really fun. Already thinking ahead to Christmas. I find this to be really good stress relief too, so hopefully you guys enjoy doing this as well. I love in my Being Mommy with Style Facebook group, and I've had people tag me on Instagram after you have made your wreath. Feel free to send me a picture. Tag me on your social if you make it. I love seeing everyone's designs and the really cool accents that they find to put on them. So it's really neat to see what people come up with. We're gonna pull that one through the bottom, and then I think we're gonna go ahead and start up here at the top. If you try to cram it in, the only thing it does is it kind of hurts your fingers a little bit. So I'm gonna get some of my slack here and keep on going. So if you knew you were gonna have an accent area, you can kind of do like bigger poofy loops in one area to kind of give more of an accent to that area, or you can try to keep them uniform around the whole thing. It's always easier to put too much and then tuck it in down behind than it is to have loops that are too tiny and then you can't make them any bigger. So when in doubt, go a little big, and you can always tuck it in to the wire frame and make the loop a little smaller, but it's much, much harder to go back and make it bigger without redoing a whole section. So when in doubt, make it fluffier. It's a good rule of thumb to go by in life. All right, so we're fitting a lot in this section. I'm actually going through this turquoise faster than I thought I was going to, but luckily I have another one right here. So it looks like we'll probably go over to a third bit of the turquoise to get this finished off here. So I think we will be able to fit, how many more? At least 1, maybe 2. Let's try for 2. 2. Just holds it real tight in there. All right. Yeah, that is nice and tight in there. So let's check in and see what the back looks like. So you can see the back where it has this kind of turquoise ring here, or teal ring from the accent strand. It just holds everything in place because that accent strand actually goes really nice and tightly. And I am going to run out of turquoise again. So we'll go ahead and open this one up, get it prepped. Okay, I can easily see where I'm at here. My last one was on the top. So I need to bring my peacock accent through here. Now that I've made my turquoise piece longer. And we just have this little section left to go. So we're gonna make our loop, push it down. We're gonna go through the top, make our loop, push it down, have our accent piece, pull it through, make our loop and push it down. All right, I'm gonna get one more loop out of our old piece of burlap here, and then I'm gonna go to the top, pull it through, and that is our new piece. And we're just gonna continue down. And then the turquoise piece with our accent comes through. I guess the whole thing's turquoise, isn't it? And we're gonna make a really big loop here. Make sure we can cover that little transition piece. And pull this one through the bottom. Pull this one through the top. And one more peacock accent piece. Nice and fluffy. All right, we are going on to our last section. So I'm gonna go through the bottom, make a loop, gonna go through the top, make a loop, and just continue on all the way down. And then I will show you how I finish it off. About 3 more rounds here. And then we will come to our finishing point. We'll tie the ribbon off on to the wire frame. And then I will just use the twine to make a little thing to hang it up on the door. And then you can start adding your accents. Today we're gonna make a really big bow out of the peacock material, which I'm excited about. I think we can fit one more row in here. So after your wreath is done, you are just gonna cut off your material and you're gonna use those pieces of twine to tie it down on the back. Then I just made a little loop here and I knotted that on there to be able to hang it to the door. And I also went ahead and made a big dramatic bow out of the peacock material as well. And I apologize because I filmed it, I thought, but I did not realize that my camera battery had gone down. But I will do a separate video showing how to make a bow for a wreath, and I will try to link that down below when it is live. But it's really super easy. I just used the pinch method for this bow. So I wanted a big dramatic bow on this because I just love that peacock accent ribbon all the way around. And again, I just tied this on as well. So I'll show how to do the bow in a separate video, but you got to see how to make the wreath base, and then you can accent the wreath however you'd like. I decided to do a bow for this one because it's what I had right now, but you can also get really giant peacock feathers or a lot of different other fun things, flowers, some of the little artificial beads to put in there as well, and just add some flair. The nice thing is that if you use this twine to tie it down, like I tied this bow on with the twine, then when you change your mind, you want to redesign it or put some different accent in, you just cut it off and put your next accent in. So let me know if you have any questions down below, and I'll have a video just making bows coming up. I'll just show a number of different bows being made with different ribbon, and you guys can check that out if you're interested in seeing how to make the bow for the wreath. But thanks for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I absolutely love making these wreaths. It's very relaxing and very enjoyable as well. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.